Ba-da-ba-ba, ba-da-ba-ba. All right. Promoter 101. Promoter 101. Promoter 101. Promoter 101. And Promoter 101. Promoter 101. Promoter 101. Promoter 101. Promoter 101.
This is Gary Tovar, founder of Golden Voice on Promoter 101.
Welcome to this week's Promoter 101 podcast. This is episode 190 of our limited run. And once they're gone, well, they're gone.
Destroying the mold after that, Dan. Promoter 101, though, live today. We've got FCP Live, Scott Leslie, a.k.a. Promoter from Agent vs. Promoter, coming up in the podcast, Dan.
Plus a very special war story from AEG Presents Rocky Mountains, Chuck Morris. And can I tell you, that guy can tell a story.
That guy is a legend. His stories are legendary. You're going to want to stay tuned for that. Episode 190 of Promoter 101 starts right now.
I'm Sada Hartman. I work for AEG Berlin as Senior Director Booking, and I'm on Promoter 101.
As you may have heard, we're coming to Music City. That's Nashville, Tennessee for the IEBA conference for our very final interview. And it's going to be live. That's right, live. Tell them all about it, Luke.
Live, high-def sound, the whole thing, Dan. We are going to be doing our final interview and live podcast recording from IEBA as this year's keynote address on Sunday, October 27th at 2 p.m. We're looking forward to wrapping up this podcast with so many of our friends in attendance. It's going to be a very special podcast, including now a wonderful guest in Deborah Rathwell. That's the SVP of Global Touring at AEG Presents. Will be sitting down with us on the dais Sunday, October 27th at 2 p.m. Make sure you get your badges at ieba.org.
We'll sell you the whole badge, but you'll only need the edge. I don't know, maybe something like that?
Something like that. Yep.
I can't wait for this one. She's got a historic career, and I can't wait to hear from her. Buy your t-shirt now. We have these Promoter 101 hoodies and t-shirts. All the money goes to Music Cares. Go to promoter101.net/merch and check it out right now. All the money goes to Music Cares.
That's right. Go to our website, check it out, get yourself a t-shirt, get yourself a hoodie. And we're very excited to talk today about our partnership with Prism. Prism is going to be matching the first $10,000 donation to Music Cares. So get on it right now. If you're out there online, go pick up a t-shirt, $20. That makes it $40 from Prism all in. Thanks to our friends over at Prism who are hooking this up and doing a great thing for Music Cares.
If you've got something you want to share with us, hey, just email us at steiny@promoter101.net. We're happy to talk to you.
That's right. And if you don't want to email us, you can find us on social media. Join the conversation. We're on Twitter. I'm at W. Luke Pierce. Dan's at The Jew. This show is Promoter 101. That's Promoter 101.
We're also on Instagram. Steiny Promoter 101 is the show. Luke is W. Luke Pierce, and I'm Dan Presents.
And make sure you check us out on Facebook at Promoter 101. Of course, Tumblr at Promoter 101. And where else, Connor?
On the World Wide Web at Promoter101.com. Plus, now find us on LinkedIn.
Hi, this is Kevin Morrow from Steel Bull Entertainment on Promoter 101.
Let's celebrate some birthdays for the week of October 1st through the 7th, 2019. Dan, who do we got?
Tuesday, 10/1, Mr. Peter Temkins.
Uncle Peter, happy birthday. On Wednesday, the 2nd, wishing a happy birthday to Jay Goldberg, Scott Warren, and Phil Kosh.
Thursday, 10/3, Scott Tobias, Matt Schultz, and Rika O'Connor.
On Friday, the 4th, wishing a happy birthday to a pair of agents, Keith Nesbitt and Seth Siegel.
10/5, that's Saturday, Aaron Rosen, Pam Moore, and Matt Peters.
On Sunday, also some agents. The 6th, we're wishing a happy birthday to Josh Sherman and Tony Sangiacomo.
10/7, that's Monday, Andy Palmer, Todd Bartleson, and Justin Maximum.
Wonderful wishes to everybody celebrating your birthday this week from everybody here at Promoter 101.
This is Jake Berry, a production director. I'm on Promoter 101.
Promoter 101 Flashbacks.
Episode 47.
Marcy Allen.
You have to have the charisma and you have to have the personality. You know, I'm put in the room with artists sometime and it is painful because they can't carry on a conversation. So how am I supposed to put them in front of a brand and say, this is someone that should be representing your brand because they're so outgoing? Now, good luck having a conversation with them because they'll say 2 words.
That's when you go with the mystique vibe, right?
Yeah, you need the personality. It's so important. I mean, I'll meet an artist and like I'll either instantly feel it. I mean, it was like when I met the Strumbellas and when I heard their song Spirits, when Daniel Glass at Glassnote played it for me, I was like, anything I can do to help this band. We booked them on the Nielsen Grammy Party. City sponsored their album release event at the Box. We worked with them on the City Culinary event this year. I mean, we have an ongoing relationship with the Strumbellas. And I talk about all these different artists because I do think that a lot of people think that we just work with the larger artists, and it's just not true. We work with the people that we want to do. You know, people say, when did you realize that you were successful? And I said, I realized I was successful when I could start selecting who I do business with.
Hey, this is Kevin French, and I'm on Promoter 101.
Kicking things off on this, the 190th episode of Promoter 101 with the war story. You had him on here previously in the podcast, and now we are excited to have him back. Welcome back from AEG Presents Rocky Mountains, Mr. Chuck Morris.
Chuck, now that we've got you in the room, I can't not get that activist side out of you. And speaking of activists, you and Bernie Cahill.
Love Bernie.
And Michael Fronte just went around the world.
No, we didn't go around the world. And let me tell you, Jamie Van Leeuwen, who used to work for Hickenlooper, started a nonprofit called the Global Livingston Institute, which does concerts in Uganda and Rwanda, mostly African stars. And during the shows, they do AIDS testing and doctors. And they've done shows now for 5 years and have tested tens of thousands of Africans. It is the most amazing nonprofit charity. And my wife had been going there as a volunteer for 3 years, changed her life. I thought it'd be cool to have an American star. I got a hold of Michael, and Michael said, sure. So he brought the whole band, first big American star. We've had other acts, Rob Drapkin, who's terrific from here, and some other acts, but not as big as Michael. So Bernie had just signed Michael this last year, and he came with his wife, and I came, and my wife had already been there for 3 years. It's the most amazing charity, and they do so much great work in AIDS testing in Africa, and they're planning on doing other countries. And hats off to Jamie Van Leeuwen, who started it. And I mean, I embarrassed Jamie because I actually just went to a meeting of we're obviously very involved. He's going to do other countries. And I predict he's going to win a Nobel Peace Prize in about 5 years because it's such an amazing event. The one show did 22,000 natives.
How do these people know who Fronte is?
They didn't. I had no idea.
Just the concept that it's a concert and they don't get that.
Yeah, the big stars, like a guy named Navio, who's the biggest star in Uganda, a hip-hop artist, he has lines and they all come and it's free. And he got friendly with Michael and with Libby Anschutz, who has a band, and we flew him in here to play with Michael at Red Rocks. And he did some work with Libby, too. He's terrific. It's a great cause.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Well, I've been lucky to make a living out of this crazy job we both have that, I really feel like I should be giving back, which I try real hard to do.
We'll make sure to get the website for that.
Global Livingston Institute.
Cool. I'll make sure we get that, and we'll post it on our social medias when we run
It's an amazing charity.
Thank you so much, Chuck.
My pleasure.
Chuck is a massive name in the industry. We'll have him right back here for a full interview on Promoter 101 next week. That's episode 191. That's this Thursday. Check it out.
Hi, this is Jamie Kelso, an agent at APA in Los Angeles, and I am on Promoter 101.
Dan, it's Monday, so that means there's a new Promoter 101 Badass of the Week. Who we got?
Well, the unveiling of the Promoter 101 Badass of the Week is always a joy. This week, one of the great artist managers, Mr. Rick DeVoe, Big Dummy himself. He's had an amazing career on some of the cutting-edge pop-punk bands, making him this week's Promoter 101 Badass of the Week. Hats off to you, Mr. DeVoe.
Dan, I back this selection completely. Congratulations goes out to Rick, a well-deserved Promoter 101 Badass of the Week.
Hey, it's Mark David, Steve Strange, Toby Leighton Pope, Stuart Galbraith, Simeon Galperin. I'm Ralph James, Ted Cohen,
Julia Frank,
Jeff Goodman, Jamie Adler, and Frank Wing, Doug Edley, David Klein, Stephen Riff, Tom Chauncey.
And we're on
Promoter 101.
Now, our next guest, many of you may know from the now famous or infamous Instagram profile, Agent versus Promoter. Started out as a Tumblr and then a Instagram account, and a very famed story back and forth between the daily lives of a booking agent and a promoter. And today, we are happy to welcome that promoter from FCP Live, Mr. Scott Leslie.
Scott Leslie is joining us today. Welcome.
It's good to be in Seattle, Dan.
So let's talk about your storied career. You really started on the musician side of things, right?
Yeah, I went to college at University of Iowa,
was on the concert board there. And in the existential crisis of what I was going to do as I was nearing my graduation, a band that I had met along the way had called me up and said, hey, do you want to come out and be our keyboard player? And so I did that for a few years, and that really sort of got me pointed in the right direction and sort of was the foundation for everything that came afterwards.
Just some random band nobody's ever heard of?
That's correct.
Come on.
It was a band out of Boston called the Push Stars. At one point, they were supposed to be a very big band, and that moment had come and gone by the time that I had joined them. But it was a lot of fun. I played shows from Maine to San Diego and Seattle to Charleston, South Carolina. So it was a lot of fun to be on the road and get to have that experience. I couldn't have asked for a better thing to do from the ages of 22 to 26.
Really were a buzz band for a very long time, and a lot of people were very into that band. You guys even did a reunion not too long ago.
Yeah, we have a show on sale now at the Paradise in December. But yeah, look, it's fun to be able to do it every now and again. It sort of scratches that itch to get back up on stage and have that experience one more time. So it was fun to do it a couple of years ago. I'm really excited to do it again in December.
But you know what it's like to live in a van and do that whole thing.
Yeah, and so when we started the Majestic, when Matt and I started the Majestic, a huge foundation of that was just understanding that this is actually work for these artists that are coming in, and it does actually matter to them how their show is presented, and it does actually matter to them the cleanliness of the venue, and the people that are at the venue and the promoters actually feel like they care about what it is that they're there.
Because you guys had great success in Madison, like building that up, having a great outreach to the young acts coming through and the cooler bands. A lot of people got that you guys understood that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it took a couple of years to break through. It kind of coincided with a bunch of younger agents that had started to come up along the way. And, you had a whole batch of people that were new to the industry sort of alongside of us. And we were just, friends. So this business is a good one in terms of if you're friends with people, they generally want to do business with you. That really served us really well. But then the other thing is that Matt and I really did take great pains to go above and beyond to make artists feel like they were welcome and that we cared.
All right, let's take a half second there to talk about Matt. Matt's your yin to your yang and your partner all the way through.
Right. So Matt and I started the Majestic in 2007. We merged with Frank Productions at the end of 2017. Matt still has an office across the hall from us and runs our venue operations. So every much is a bit of my partner now as he was 12 years ago, a crucial part of what we're doing over there in Madison.
Before Madison, you were in LA working at CAA, is that right?
No, that was Matt that worked at CAA.
I'm sorry. Tell me about that.
He was an assistant to the agent that handled Midwest clubs and colleges. So he was from Kansas City. I was from Chicago. He was very focused on wanting to open up a venue in the Midwest and get out of LA and move home. And I was fortunate enough to sort of tag along for that ride.
Because you were in LA at a similar time, right? That's where you guys kind of came together?
That's right, yeah.
How did you guys meet?
We met through his brother. I went to college with his brother.
Okay, so it was just a social circle and you guys were both in LA at the same time?
Yeah.
Were you working in the industry or were you still playing in a band or how did you wind up in LA?
I was still playing in the band. The bass player and the drummer had moved from Boston to Los Angeles and had suggested that I do the same and that I would find loads of work as a studio musician and, keyboard player for hire. And they were only half right about that. So the timing of moving out of LA and starting the next chapter was probably really fortuitous for me as well.
So Matt's going to bail to the Midwest and you're like, screw it, need a change of pace and just you went along for the ride.
Yeah, I mean, we hatched the plan and we were like, hey, let's do this. He would tell me, he would see my tour routing and he'd be like, oh, I know this person. This is a great venue. This place is a little bit rough. This promoter's a dickhead. I'd come home from a run and I'd be like, hey, you were right about these people. And this place was actually really nice. And so we both had a little bit of an experience that informed how it is that we were going to take that next step.
You guys open up a venue in Madison, Wisconsin, of all places, which is interesting because it's the Midwest. But with all of your guys' experience in the Midwest, neither one of you are from there.
We had no ties to Madison at all. None. And frankly, we didn't really have any business running a venue at that point either. I don't want to say that we got lucky because I think it undercuts some of the hard work that we put into it, but we certainly had some good fortune along the way to not really stub our toe when we certainly could have. It was a new city for both of us, and that was probably a good thing too. Neither of us had any ties. Neither of us knew anybody. We were both sort of sharing that same experience of going to a new place and starting from the ground up.
Okay, so when you got there, how familiar were you with the Franks brothers and, the guys that had been doing all the bigger shows in that area for quite some time?
I didn't know Larry or Fred at all. Matt knew them ancillarily through the occasional club show that they would book in Madison. But Larry is actually the one that called Matt and told him that the Majestic was for sale. So all those years ago, if it weren't for Larry calling Matt, we would have never even known that the building existed or that it was for sale.
Oh, that's fascinating, actually.
Yeah.
Kind of in my head wondering if he regretted that at some point. And then obviously you guys are all partners.
Yeah,
so
if he regretted it then, he certainly doesn't now.
Right.
So.
At some point, you guys built up this business. Then you guys decide to also go Columbia, Missouri, which I find to be fascinating. You found another place where I'm assuming you had very little ties to.
Well, I have very little ties there, but Matt was born there, and his father still lives there, and he went to college there, and his brother lives there. So Matt had a tremendous amount of ties
so
to
you guys
Columbia.
kind of knew the area via Matt.
Yeah, and so Matt had always, owning the Blue Note was for Matt. It'd be like me owning the Chicago Cubs. So, except that it was probably a little bit more realistic for him to own the Blue Note than it would be for me to own the Cubs. But look, it was Richard, the old owner, approached us. He was ready to step away. He called us because he knew that basically that there was going to be an interest there, and he had an interest in making sure that it stayed with somebody that had an understanding of the importance of it locally. So it came together pretty quickly.
So you guys do some really cool things there. Not only have you guys programmed that venue very well, but you guys do street shows where you guys close out the outside of that venue and do these amazing live shows in the middle of the square there.
It's the Wild West. We still can't believe they let us do it.
Some of the videos that were floating around with some of those shows, somebody was on a boat serving the crowd.
Oh, that was in Madison last week.
Oh, that was in front of the Majestic. That's right.
That was Prof.
But you guys do the similar thing with Blue Note, right?
Yeah, but the difference is that in Columbia, we're able to charge a ticket price to get on the street. So in Madison, you're not allowed to do that. So in Columbia, it turns into like a little 3,500 capacity outdoor venue where we can bring in, some serious talent.
Like a Eli Young or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've done a lot of sort of bigger country acts down there. We've done John Party and Cole Swindell and Eli Young and Brett Eldridge, Cody Jinks. We've done a bunch. Cody Johnson. We've done a bunch.
All the Codys.
All the Codys have played it.
This is the time to be a Cody in the Americana world. It's just killing it.
It's good to be a Cody.
Good to be a Cody. Any Cody will do. So you guys wind up cutting a deal with the Franks and grow into what is now not only just a company that's running venues, but now you're promoting the entire state of Wisconsin, and you guys are a national touring division as well.
Yeah, it's a real hybrid of a bunch of different facets of the business. So the partnership and it was two very different organizations that merged, and really both teams, the credit goes to all the staff on both teams that really went at it with the right attitude and made everybody feel welcome on all sides. So it's been a great experience culturally and certainly professionally for me. But yeah, we own the 3 venues in Madison, 2 venues in Columbia. We operate a couple of others. We have some exclusives at a few others beyond that. But then when the Live Nation deal came along, we became the local business unit for the state of Wisconsin. And then the touring division has always sort of been the bread and butter for what Larry and Fred have built up over the years.
Okay, now you're in bed with Live Nation, biggest promoter in the world. How does that change things?
It didn't change anything. When Larry and Fred told us about it, it was when the merger was still in its negotiation phases. So it was basically their way of saying, you should know that this is a possibility. And if you're uncomfortable with it, this is your opportunity to sort of walk away. And, look, we were unsure of it, but they seemed like they were pretty well convinced that this was going to be a good thing. And I think that if you're going to form a new partnership with people, if your first instinct is that you don't trust their intuition, then that's sort of maybe a warning sign that it may not be the right partnership in general for you. So Matt and I had a lot of trust that Larry and Fred knew what they were doing. Charlie Goldstone, was sort of the same way. And so we sort of threw caution to the wind and said, yeah, let's roll with this, see how it goes. And I can honestly say with a straight face that my day-to-day life has not changed at all in terms of how I do things. Now, the kinds of shows that I'm working on has changed a little bit. The kind of shows that our company does has changed a little bit.
Yeah, because you say it changed nothing, but you guys promoted Paul McCartney in the stadium last year.
Correct.
That probably wouldn't have happened without that relationship with Live Nation. You did the Jonas Brothers the other night as well, too, right? So it's changed a little bit.
It has changed a little bit, but all that stuff is changing for the good. But how I go about my work, all that kind of stuff hasn't changed. Going into the office every day feels great, and it feels like we have the world at our fingertips, and nothing can hold us back. So, if anything, the only change has just been that we feel like that nothing is impossible right now.
Madison, Wisconsin is the home of your company, and you oversee the entire state. There are bigger cities in your market. So, how do you balance between what plays a Madison, which is where you're at, versus Milwaukee, which is where the bigger population is?
A lot of it is sort of dependent on the artist and what we think the demographic for the artist. The 2 cities are close geographically, but pretty different culturally. And there have been a bunch of shows that have played both markets at the arena level that, have all done really well. Mumford & Sons played both markets.
On the same run, or do you spread them out?
On the same run. Mumford & Sons played both markets and both sold out. I mean, I think they were like 4 weeks apart, but it was,
You're marketing simultaneously.
Right. Metallica did the same thing. Foo Fighters did the same thing. So there have been examples of shows playing both markets and being fine. At the club level, certainly there's almost no crossover at all. But it's really just about where we think the artist is going to have a better draw. And then it's also just about venue availability. It's a different animal working with the university versus an NBA franchise and all that kind of stuff. So it's just, there aren't as many choices as you would maybe think that there are.
Okay, so you are a Chicago Cub guy. Like anybody that follows you on social media, you and Joe Attanian, you don't call you guys during a playoff game, you're not going to pick up the phone. How did your love for the Cubs and baseball become so strong?
The Cubs were my first love, even before Bruce Springsteen. I don't know how it started. My father was a fan, so it was just on, and baseball had always just been something that I loved. It's still, to my day, my favorite sport to watch, because I just think it's just a great sport. It's a great game. But the Cubs have always been something that were very, very special to me. And so, yeah, it's been a good few years to be a Cubs fan, finally. I'm taking advantage of it every step that I can.
What's your favorite food?
I love soup dumplings in New York City.
Soup dumplings?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar.
You should be familiar. Joe's Shanghai.
Any guilty pleasures?
None that I want to talk about here.
All right, kinky. All right, favorite movie?
My Cousin Vinny.
Really?
Yeah.
Little Joe Pesci doing some comedy with the Karate Kid.
That's right.
All right. Favorite book?
Catcher in the Rye.
All right. That's pretty deep. I like that. What are the things that really excite you about the business that when you get up in the morning, you're like, man, if this happens, this is really make my day? What are the phone calls that are just like, yeah, man, that's why I got into this business?
The way I schedule my workflow, I try to let the day sort of dictate how things go. So I don't get up with a to-do list and say, these are the things I want to accomplish today. I just kind of am a believer that be around and good things will happen. So, I'm pretty aggressive with just calling people and seeing what's up and seeing what they're working on and seeing if we can't take a shot at it. Ultimately, at the end of the day, what makes me go home and say I had a great day is if I made something happen. And when you go into the day not trying to make something specific happen, it sort of gives you a little bit more of a wide berth to say, hey, you have a better chance of having a good day if you go into it without trying to make something specific go on.
So you're working with Marcus King Band on a tour deal. You guys are doing shows all over the place, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does something like that come around?
Obviously there's a relationship with the manager. So, we were talking about it and they said, yeah, let's do this. So all these things happen very naturally and very fluidly. It was certainly my first foray into routing and promoting a tour nationally, but something that, I had been talking about getting more involved in. And it certainly was something that I had a lot of fun doing. So I don't anticipate this will be the last time that I do it. But Marcus is an incredible artist. And that's one of the things is that, that when you're working with somebody and you call up a random venue that you've never spoken with before and they say, oh my God, I love Marcus. I can't believe that we've never had him here. I can't wait to have him back. It makes the job a lot easier. It was very easy to do because everybody wanted to work with him. Everybody wanted that show. So yeah, it's on sale. It's doing great.
So here's an artist that musically kind of has that vibe of the next Derek Trucks into that like jammy kind of world. It's just so good live. And like the band is so tight. It's just so much fun to watch. And you can go in not ever knowing a song and leave feeling like, holy shit, how do I not know this guy? He's going to be on Spotify for you for the next 3 days.
Yeah, there's nothing that I can add to that. That's exactly what the experience was for me. And I think that's what it is for a lot of people. I mean, we saw it on this summer when he was on tour with Stapleton and a bunch of people were seeing him for the first time that had never seen him before. And you slowly but surely, one head after another is turning around and kind of like, yeah, this is pretty cool. This guy's got it.
The manager is Aaron Franks, who's kind of family to you guys, or extended family, as he's Larry Frank's son, who's your partner.
Right.
That's got to, help. Everybody's comfortable with everybody. Everybody sees everybody all the time. So that's got to be a great, trust factor when you're building something on a bigger level like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It also ratchets up the pressure a little bit because, it's somebody that you're close with and that you've known for a while and that you care about. So, not that I don't care about everybody else that I work with, but definitely want to do a good job for him because you know him and you know the work that he's put into building out that company and doing the work that he's been doing. So
he's really having a nice moment as a manager.
Yeah, but he works really, really hard. And I think that that's what we're able to see on a daily basis is the work that he puts into it and how much he cares. And certainly from a manager perspective, if you're not going to work hard and you don't care about your artist, you're not going to last very long. But it's certainly the closest window I personally have ever seen into it. So, that's been a lot of fun to watch.
Quite an overnight success story, going from a guy that, hey, come play keyboards in our band, to move to LA, to just come to Madison with me, to, hey, let's become partners with the Franks, to Live Nation is buying us and promoting full tours and stadium shows. Overnight success. That only
if you consider overnight success 18 years.
Sure. Overnight success.
Right. I'm 40 years old. I think that disqualifies me for an overnight success.
Any advice for some of our younger listeners on how to become an overnight success like yourself, Scott?
Yeah, give yourself an 18-year clock and let it start ticking. I would just say to try to experience as many parts of the business as you can. I think that everybody should be on the road at some point, whether it's as a production person, or as a tour manager or as a musician. Everybody should understand the work that goes into that. And don't try to skip steps. We all got where we were. And certainly, Matt, myself, and Charlie all got where we are by putting one foot in front of us at a time, not trying to become overnight successes, just trying to stay in the moment and do the work that was required of us at the time to do it right, and knowing that good things would come from it.
Now, we didn't really talk much about your relationship with Charlie, and I think that'd be a mistake to skip out on. So he's certainly become a really intricate part of your day-to-day business since you guys have become partners.
Yeah. So if Matt's across the hall, Charlie's across the room. So Charlie and I share an office. So that's about as intricate as we can get.
So when you're building out a tour thing, you couldn't get a better teacher of that since he's been doing that for the last handful of years and doing it at a high level.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not sure if I would have been able to do it without his help. So it was great to be able to say, hey, what would you do here? And he's like, oh, those questions that I was asking him would have been like him asking me, what's 2 + 2? Or what was the Cubs record at the time? Or what was your favorite Bruce Springsteen album? I mean, they were second nature to him. And so it was really great just to see the level of expertise out of that and being able to use him as a resource. And certainly, he's on that Marcus King team as well. And, we take lead on different projects. We definitely have an all hands on deck mentality within the company. So he's working on it. I'm helping him with his projects and all of that. So, but from a touring perspective, I certainly couldn't have asked for a better situation than to be put in the same room with him.
Now, you've mentioned Springsteen at least twice, but maybe 3 times. So what is your favorite Springsteen album?
Start to finish, it's got to be Born to Run.
Not a bad one to go with. Final thoughts?
Go Cubs.
There you go. Scott Leslie right here on Promoter 101.
We are thrilled to announce that Promoter 101 has teamed up with the Recording Academy's Music Cares Foundation to do a little good. And you, our beloved listeners, can help. By going to Promoter101.net and clicking the merch tab at the top of the page, you can pick up a stylish, limited edition Promoter 101 Call Ya Mother t-shirt or hoodie in a huge variety of styles and colors. 100% of proceeds goes directly to Music Cares and their mission to provide a safety net of critical assistance for music people in their time of need. Shipping and handling is absolutely free, and for the first $10,000 we raise, our good friends at Prism are matching donations dollar for dollar. Go to Promoter101.net right now, click on the merch tab, pick out one of our awesome shirts, and be the heart and soul of the music community by donating to Music Cares. And don't forget to call your mother.
Hey, the quote of the week comes to us from Benjamin Sprock. Trust yourself. You know more than you think you do. Luke, you think that's possible?
Dan, I think I know it all, so maybe I do think I'm more... No, I don't know. I got nothing there. Take that out.
I love that.
Inspiring stuff this week, Dan. I appreciate the quotes of the week.
I love when you set a trap and you just fall right into it.
This is Marcia Vlasic, president of AGI Talent Agency on Promoter 101.
Hey, that'll do it. Episode 191 of Promoter 101 in the bag. And thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this podcast today. Thank you to our amazing guests from AG Presents, the Rocky Mountains, Mr. Chuck Morris, from FCP Live, the man from Madison, Wisconsin, Mr. Scott Leslie. Thank you for coming on the podcast and giving your time, telling some stories. Really enjoyed it this week. If you like this podcast and you want to keep up with us, shoot us a note. Hit us an email at steiny@promoter101.net.
Hey, we'll return this Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. That's midnight Greenwich Mean Time.
If you like this week's war story, stay tuned on Thursday. The show's going to feature a full-length featured interview from AG Presents Rocky Mountains Chuck Morris. Stay tuned for that.
Well, God help us till then. And until then, we're wishing you sold-out shows for the week to come.
Cheers, and call your mother.
Hi, it's Ken Deans. I'm here on Promoter 101 with Steiny and the crew, talking about all sorts of great stuff.